Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy and I help people with their breakups. And today I want to go over a follow up letter from a story a client sent in 2 days ago. He sent a free email with his story. He's been following the channel a little bit over the last week or two, I believe. And he was very happy with the response and the feedback that I gave him. And he's done a follow up email regarding some of the questions I had and getting a little bit more in detail. So what happens a lot is if you write your story, the first time you send it over to me, I check it out, I make a video, and then maybe if you want to do some follow-ups, we can do a paid email, such as the one now, and you can visit my website, writemac.com, to see the details on that. The website is going to be under construction for the next day or two, hopefully just the next day, but maybe two, but this video will be out for a while, so I do want to give that information. If you want to reach out to me the next day or two, you can leave a message in the notes, and I'll give you my email directly. So what we have here, though, is this is the second part of the story of did I wean her off the relationship. So if you want to see the first part of this video, I'll put a link in the show notes below. So he wrote me a letter today, and I had some questions. So what will happen when you send your story? I said, well, I can't respond. I need a little bit more details to give you a better answer on that. And this is what he's responding to. And the really nice thing about this is when you send your story, and even when I follow up, I'm not mentioning your name. So I'm sharing your story. You might get some information from people in the comments. Also, I like the idea personally of doing the video. I think that doing the video shows a little bit more emotion than me just responding to you in an email with text. That's the thing about text. We use text so much now that we don't really see the emotion, and I think there's a lot of value in that when I'm conveying a message to you, or some information or some feedback or some advice, for you to see my face and how I'm telling you about it, right? And like I said before, keep in mind, sometimes if I laugh a little bit or smile, you gotta keep things lighthearted when you can. So sometimes some things, it's not I'm laughing directly at you, I'm laughing with you. I've been there before, and sometimes some things seem so dramatic. I'm not talking about this letter in particular, but in other cases. All right, so let's get into it. Hi, Mac. Thank you for your video response. Absolutely fantastic. Made me feel a lot better. Thanks for the compliment. I really appreciate that. So firstly, in response to your questions in the video, so he's going to address some of the things I asked. So he talked about her tests. He said that she was constantly testing him. Or I don't know if he used the word constantly. I'm sorry, but she was testing him quite a bit. So he says, I'm referring to the way women constantly test us to see if we are still the strong guy they fell in love with. It's about setting boundaries and not becoming a doormat, basically. Okay, I would agree with that. I don't know if this is one thing you might have gotten from Corey Wayne, and I like Corey Wayne. I agree with a lot of his stuff. I don't know if they constantly test us. Some do more than others, okay? So depending on the woman. She has quite high security and anxiety, so her tests were mainly based on jealousy. So she was jealous of you. So right off the bat, when I read high insecurity, anxiety, producing, I guess, high levels of jealousy, I don't know if that's a good thing. You might think, oh, most women are like this. That's not necessarily true. So that might be one of the base problems with her. Right now, you're looking at the problems with your relationship. You're probably looking at the problems with yourself, because you do want to get back with her. You still love her. But she has some issues too, and you got to take that into account. Do you want to be with someone that you regard as high levels of insecurity, anxiety? The way you wrote it, she has quite high insecurity, anxiety. That's hard to deal with in a relationship, and not all women are like that. So that's not something. I realize that women do test you in different ways. That's true, but the idea of having those attributes, that's tough to deal with, man. So you have to really take inventory while you're away from the relationship. Is this something you want to deal with? Right now you're kind of focused on getting back together, but you have to think, like, is it possible for me to meet a woman that maybe isn't so insecure or doesn't have high levels of anxiety? Something for you to think about. In regards to her test, yeah, you're right. A lot of women test you, and the fact that setting boundaries and not becoming a doormat is something good to keep in mind. I would agree with that. But I think in the last letter you mentioned how you kept passing her tests. I mean, are the tests fair? Is the next question I'd ask. Sometimes like you're not telling me the stories about the insecurity and the anxiety and the jealousy. If you gave me a couple stories like, well, this one time she got really jealous because ... And then I could say, well, that's completely unreasonable. You shouldn't be dealing with that. That's not really a test. That's an unreasonable person that's hard to deal with. Okay, next part, quote unquote, convince herself that we were too different. So in the past letter, you told me that she convinced herself that we are too different. And I asked, how do you believe that? How do you believe that to be true? I agree with you that, of course, people are going to be different, and that is a good thing. That's what I told them, that opposites attract, having different qualities. And you are right. I guess I worded it like that because I don't agree with it. So yeah, that's the way I took it, that she's convinced, but you're not convinced that you're too different. Yes, we have our differences, but our core values and connection were amazingly strong. Okay, that's good. One thing is that she is very social and I am not. So that could be an issue. A lot of times, like I said, but being that you offset each other, it probably helps both of you out in some ways. We went out quite a lot to dinners, exhibitions, and shows. Don't all couples go to dinner? That's the go-to thing to do. In my past relationships too. I mean, going out to dinner, it feels like at some point that's the number one thing to do. It's when you go to those dinners and conversations just go to nothing. I should make a video about that because there's a certain level in the relationship when you start going out to dinner. I'm not talking about playing on your phone where you just don't have a lot to talk about. But I don't like going to pubs or backyard parties, and she really wanted me to be a part of that scene. Okay, I mean, that's something you got to consider. Okay, I'll touch on that after I finish this sentence. She is 39 and I'm 49. That's all right. I mean, the maturity level of a 39-year-old, 49-year-old are quite similar. If you said she was, 22 and you were 32, that's a big gap in maturity and life experience. I think 39 and 49 is fine. So she is 39 and I'm 49 and I don't even drink. So I find those places very shallow and boring and unhealthy. Okay, so that's an identity and a value thing. So now you're not just saying I don't like going to pubs or backyards, but you believe them to be shallow, boring, and unhealthy. So the fact that she wants to go to those places, you kind of look down upon it. It's not that you just go, oh, I just want to stay home and watch my ball game. You're kind of like, oh, you want to go to a shallow and boring event with unhealthy people. So you might not even realize it, but you're putting your nose up to the idea, and that's fine. That's fine. But the fact that she's social and she wants to go to these things and it's important to her, and probably has friends there. She doesn't want to tell her friends that her husband didn't want to come. And this just sparked something. I've lived in neighborhoods over the years, and there's always like a husband that just stops coming to events and stays at home for whatever reasons. A lot of times it's to watch the ball game and have a beer or something like that, and stops going to these kind of events because they don't enjoy them. I don't know if it's because they believe them shallow and boring and unhealthy, but women want to bring their husband or their boyfriend with them to events like this. And I'd say I don't think you need to go to all of them, but you do need to make some kind of an effort, especially the backyard parties, I would say, more than the pubs. So if you were saying like, I really don't like pubs, but I am willing to go to some more backyard parties, or even have a barbecue where we have a few friends over, where you maybe have a little bit more control over the dynamic. But to just say they're shallow and boring, you're not really making an effort on those places at all. You gotta negotiate a little bit. Towards the end of the relationship, she just couldn't balance up the bad with the good. So of course the negatives took over. Sure, that happened. And It was probably a couple events that triggered it over time. And like I said, the idea of this backyard parties thing in pubs, that's a social event where she's got to tell her friends that you don't want to go. And those friends are being social too. So then that's when the chatter starts a little bit. Don't read too much into that some friend's bad-mouthing you of hers or anything. I'm just saying the fact that she's showing up to some of those events maybe alone wasn't a good thing for her probably. I'm going to miss you so much, XOXO. So she wrote that to him in a final email, and I said that's a good sign that she's saying she's going to miss you and she loves you still. You made a good point about the I statement and the subconscious, and I found out today that you were right about one thing. See below. So I said to focus on the present, right? So if you didn't watch the other video, what I was saying about the subconscious and I statement, I am, whenever someone makes an I statement, I am, they're directing their subconscious to follow that for a long period of time. So she's saying, I'm going to miss you. So she's missing him right now. If she said, I'm done, then she's directing her subconscious to, I'm finished. I don't want to see him anymore. It's going to be tough. So here I am just 4 weeks out and just starting to feel a bit better. And that's fine. You're going to feel good and you're going to feel bad at times, and it's going to come and go. That's totally natural. The fact that you feel just a little bit better is great. That's a good sign. I get a phone call today from a mutual friend of ours. My ex-wife has posted on Facebook saying that her mother has been involved in a bad car accident. The mother was okay, but the car caught on fire and everything was incinerated. That is a dramatic situation. This is why writing out your story and giving me some details gives me a little bit more information to give you better advice or give you a better opinion. If you just told me, oh, should I keep no contact, and you go to all these websites and they say keep no contact, but they don't keep in mind that your former mother-in-law that you're close to was in a car accident, and you're like, what do I do then? Should I contact her then? That's a good fucking question. I mean, you're thinking I should reach out to her. So this is what he said he did. And how often does this happen? You know, the mother-in-law gets in such a bad car accident that the car catches on fire. So just to read up that sentence, my ex-wife has posted on Facebook saying that her mother has been involved in a bad car accident. The mother is okay, but the car caught on fire and everything was incinerated. Wow. Okay, I don't see that because I unfollowed her in the first week of the breakup. That's great that you unfollowed her. That's great, because anything that goes up there you can misconstrue or take it the wrong way, and it's just like little poison darts on your arm. So you did the right thing on not being on Facebook. Anyway, I could do a whole video on not being on someone's Facebook after you break up. But my friend thought I should contact my wife about it. Okay, so your friend's looking out for you, and you said it was a mutual friend, so that's fair enough. He or she, you said my friend, he or she is not pushing you into the situation, but you still didn't make that decision on your own. Now, my friend also said that they started talking about me. The gist of it is my ex-wife is missing me terribly, so you were right about that. I thought so when she said I'm going to miss you, and struggles sometimes to not contact me at times. So the no contact is definitely working in your favor, especially when something like this happens. Of course, any kind of tragic event when you need to lean on someone. You know, when you're in a relationship where you were married for 5 years, you know, it's like you're like family. You know, you're so when something happens to a family member, you want to share it because you know her mother. But she will not contact me because she feels that she can't give me what I want. Well, then she's her knowing that if and when she does come back, she's going to have to say, okay, I'm willing to negotiate with you on what you want, and said that she can't fake her feelings. Well, that's good that she's an honest woman, that she's not faking things. So that's a really good statement. You know, when you're talking through a friend and a third party, just be aware to not take everything verbatim. And sometimes in other cases, this seems like this is solid information, but sometimes friends can give bad information too. But this particular, you know, she can't fake her feelings, so she's being honest. That's giving you some light right now. She cares about you still. My friend was so great, and was talking me up, saying that I'd made some good changes, of which my ex had asked for in the marriage and that I was doing my best to move on. Great. And they should leave it at that. They shouldn't say too much. But the fact that you're doing your best to move on, that's a great statement. My ex thought that I had moved on. Funny how that works, huh? Well, and after 4 weeks, you're in the process of moving on. I know you really hope that she comes back and everything, but right now, with the no contact, you are moving on. Because if you continue to have no contact for 2 or 3 months, you're going to be that much further along. Whereas if you break no contact again, you start all over again from zero with if she rejects you. And let me just give you a scenario. Let's say you reach out to your ex-wife and say, I heard about what happened to your mother. I'm really sorry. ... She responds in a cold way and says, oh, thank you so much for caring about mom. You've always been there. And then she throws in like, ... I wish I could see you, but I can't fake my feelings towards you. She throws that at you. That would just bring you back down. Tell me I'm wrong on that. That would just bring you back to ground zero. That wouldn't make you feel better, right? So even though she appreciates the call, now she knows you're still interested in her, and she's got another month to decide that you're still interested in her. It breaks the no contact all over again. So getting back to the letter, I struggled for hours with whether or not to send her a message saying that I'm glad her mom is okay. I'm sure you did. And that's, in this particular situation, I would have to think about it off too. In the end, I didn't do it, but I did send the mom a private message on Facebook. Me and mom were very close. I think that's great. A private message that's short. Do not ask about your ex-wife. I know that sounds cold. Just that you're concerned about the mom is enough, and to see how she's okay. That's completely fine, and I think it's a stand-up thing to do. So you may or may not be right that she will contact me soon. Okay, just to clarify that, I don't know if I might have used the word soon, but I think she will. I think there's a good chance, because this is the thing about my channel and my advice. I never want to give you false guarantees. But what I want to say in your particular case, I'm going to miss you so much. There's a lot going in your favor that she's going to contact you at some point. Absolutely. I absolutely think there's a good chance. And after your video, I'm trying to not be so negative about it. Yeah, I mean, it's natural to be negative. You just catch yourself and go, hold on, stop the mouse wheel, stop it running. Like I said, I'm going to say this a lot on this channel. I'm going to say it constantly because people don't do it enough. Stay active, get off the couch, change your routine. If you want me to give you examples of different things to do, I can tell you. And then someone says, oh, read a book, or I don't like to read. Listen to an audiobook. Oh, I don't like audiobooks. Listen to some music, go on a walk. Whenever these times get where you really are just grinding on something, get out, get active, come back home, and that at least wears you out a little bit where you're physically tired, so you're not mentally chewing on it as much, if that makes sense. But as you can see, this is the way she feels, and she will just do her best to move on. Well, you don't know if she's doing the best to move on right now, and you don't want to assume. A friend, a third party, said she doesn't want to fake her feelings. A friend, a third party, says she feels that she can't give you what you want. And who's to say that she's moving on? Things change within a week, a month. When she comes back to contact you, or possibly doesn't, as much as you don't want to hear that. But most likely, I'm on this one, I'm betting she is. You really, really need to focus on yourself, as selfish as that sounds, and go to the gym, do your thing. And I want to go back to one thing. The fact that you mentioned she's insecure and has a high level of anxiety a lot. Do you want to deal with that long term? Is a good question to ask yourself. Because not all women are like that. That's not something. And the fact that you really don't like backyard parties and pubs and find them shallow and boring is something she's into. Are you going to be able to meet her halfway on some of those things long term? Maybe the first 6 months or a year, if you got back together, you'd go, oh yeah, we'll go to the pub, but you really don't enjoy it. You might be able to find a better match. Okay? Don't get too caught up on that, because I know you're thinking, no, I want my ex-wife back. She's the one. I'm just saying to ponder those thoughts. Just ponder those for a little bit. So my questions are this. Have I done the right thing by sticking to no contact, or was it a missed opportunity to open communication with her? Okay, first answer, you've done the right thing. Absolutely, in my opinion. Am I letting my ego get in the way here because I've been trying to stick to no contact? What do you want? What do you want? If you want her to come back to you on your terms, if you want her to come back to you in respecting your boundaries, you want her to come back to you 100% all in, then you need to stick to no contact. If you want an opportunity to show like you miss her and whatnot, and maybe you guys do the hookup thing for another month again, and you do that and you're kind of in this gray area, then break the no contact. I think you want the latter. The reason I held off was because, of course, I was hoping this would lead to something more. I'm not healed yet, and I wanted to run it by you first. Thanks for trusting my opinion. Every piece of advice or opinion I give, you still got to make the decision on your own. I try to do my best. I try to give you different scenarios rather than, oh, this is the way to do it. You can't do this. Okay, I try to give you, well, this would lead to this, or this would lead to that. Because I'm hoping that this would lead to something more. Like I said, I think that you want 100% commitment. You want, and in that case, she needs to come back to you. And the way it ended, you didn't do anything wrong. You don't need to call her back up. I think you did the right thing by sending the mom a short message of concern. And it's going to be tough. I said this in the past one. It's going to be tough. It's natural. You do care, but here's the thing. You might not want to hear this right now, but the fact that you're dealing with it up front right now in that pain, in 2 or 3 months, you'll be stronger and stronger and stronger. Whereas if you and her just keep meeting on and off again, month here, then 3 weeks of no contact, you just reopen the wound. Okay? So each time you're getting 1% better, a little bit stronger, you're a little bit stronger. And when you're really having trouble, just go, I'm going to get through this day with it. Or write out an open letter, or what you're going through in a journal, and just get it all out on paper. Just get it all out on paper, and just hold it. Just hold it for yourself. Number 2, negative thoughts or false hope. I know I say negative stuff like it's over, she's never coming back, but what if I hang on to that hope and she never comes back? Fucking great question. Of course it's going to go through your mind, she's never going to come back, it's over, or the opposite. She's coming back. I think I have a chance. You can run through those all the time. I'm just saying, when you're stuck on them, of course that thought's going to float. Don't be hard on yourself. Let the thought float. And if you're stuck on it, let it go. Stop. Okay, just catch yourself when you get into one of those modes. That's all I'm saying. Don't be hard on yourself that you're being negative. You're going to think like this. But what if I'm hanging on to that hope that she never comes back? It's a possibility. But by you doing the no contact thing is the best way either way. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of the no contact. It's the best thing either way. Work on yourself right now. Take care of yourself right now. And then something like this comes up in the present, like the mom and the car accident, deal with that up front as an individual case. The fact that you're going to, will she come back, will she not come back? The way it usually happens is the time that you let it go, that's when you'll get the phone call. When you're completely like, okay, I'm really ready to move on. It's over. You're getting better and better. That's when you'll get the phone call. That's when something will happen. It's just how it works a lot of times. I feel it would prolong my healing, and I need to get out of this dark place ASAP. So let me read this one more time. Negative thoughts or false hope. I know I say negative stuff like it's over and she's never coming back, but what if I hang on to that hope and she never comes back? I'm not telling you to have false hope. I'm just telling you not to dwell on negative stuff. When negative stuff comes on, deal with it. You're in a dark place right now. It's okay. You're not a bad person from what your letter has read out. You haven't done bad things. You got some bad feelings right now. You're sad. You miss her. It's natural. It's not going to go away immediately, unfortunately. You can just control pockets of your time by, like I've said before, exercise, getting out of the house, doing your job, looking up information like my channel, contacting someone like myself with your letter, checking in with someone you trust, talking to your friends. Let me recant that. Not talking to all your friends, just one or two trusted ones that understand your situation, and dealing with it day by day, dealing with the present. Okay, so this was a paid email he wrote at the end. Currently, like I've said, my website's down, but it'll be back up. And I charge $35, which I think is a pretty reasonable fee for this kind of a service. So, also mentions at the end, his anxiety has gone up again today because of this. You know what? That's natural. And so what I mean by dealing with the present, right? So the anxiety is coming because of you miss your ex-wife. But how, go on YouTube or go to these other places and check on how to deal with anxiety. What are triggers of anxiety? So a couple things I know. So dealing with anxiety outside of the idea of just missing your wife. I have anxiety. How can I fix this? That's in your control, actually. So if you're getting anxiety, instead of taking a pill, which a lot of people do, that's for another topic. But if some people are doing that out there and they've been prescribed by the doctor, fine. Exercise is a big one, and meditation is another one. Now, a lot of people say I can't meditate. There's loads of guided meditation videos on YouTube that I think are quite good that help that out a lot. And that meditative type music, listen to that to calm you a little bit. And there's some breathing exercises that I could talk about. But you probably could find them on YouTube, how to treat anxiety. So that's one of those things instead of, I miss her, I'm getting anxiety from it. Okay, how do I just deal with anxiety? Because that's something in my control. Okay, I hope that helps you. And if you need to write me another email, a follow-up one from this, we can go from there again. Thank you for trusting my information, and I hope that helps you. Hang in there, buddy. Okay? Hang in there, because I'm telling you right now, I know from experience, it will get better. It will. Okay? Bye-bye.